impressions are recently with this talk about the deficit and the budget and how it relates to abortion?
Well, I think that's a real obvious place to where it could be cut out. Our taxpayer money helps pay for abortions, and I think if people realize that, they might be appalled.
Yeah. What is actually in here?
There is an abortion clinic in one of these buildings.
Is it Planned Parenthood or is it separate?
I think it's separate.
Okay.
It's not Planned Parenthood, but Planned Parenthood is the #1 provider of abortions in the country, and so that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
What do you think? What percentage of their budget is for abortions?
Oh gosh, they just had this. They've come out with their own. It's like 335,000 abortions. And that's pretty much where most of their money comes from. Is from the abortion industry. Doing the birth control, any other services they might provide doesn't bring in money, and so.
How does it? So I don't understand. I don't know how it brings in money for Planned Parenthood.
Because they charge for abortions.
They charge the people that come in. It's not like a low alternative for people that can't afford abortions.
I know I've talked to some women who say they'll pay a portion of it and their Medicaid pays the rest. Medicaid is government assisted, insurance, and so that's pretty much we pay for that.
Okay, so your impression is that I see something too. Sorry about that. Your impression is that tax dollars go through Planned Parenthood and pay for abortions?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And they might say, there's a law that you can't do that, but there's ways around it. And they'll say, well, we use that money for birth control, or we use that money for this or that. But either way you look at it, it frees up money for abortions. So they're getting money, they're charging the women who come in, but they're also getting, is it $350 million a year, taxpayer money.
What's your feeling about birth control?
Personally?
Well, I mean, as an issue.
Okay, well, from
Personally,
medical, I'm in the medical field, and from a medical standpoint, all the hormonal contraceptions can work at least in part by keeping the lining of the uterus thin, and therefore preventing implantation of a new life that began a week to 10 days earlier. So because they can cause early abortions, then I'm totally against that. And I teach natural family planning, which is basically just learning to read the signs of your body that tell you when you're fertile and when you're not. And so you know every day whether you're fertile or not, and that's what I teach as an alternative. So it does keep the love alive, it keeps the spark alive. And the divorce rate in couples using NFP is very low. And so, which makes sense because you're communicating each cycle about the possibility of starting or continuing your family, which opens up discussions into other areas of their lives. There's respect. The marital act it's not just recreational. It's not just what can I get out of it. It's I want to give myself completely to you, and if I can't do that, then we're not going to engage in that activity. It's very respectful. The women feel revered.
But you're talking just in the context of marriage. What about people who aren't married? What do they do? They may not even have a relationship, but they have sex. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a large part of the population.
And there's a large part of the population hurting because of those kind of relationships, repetitive relationships like that, where they're looking for something, and if they would wait until marriage, they'll find life much more fulfilling.
Is that unrealistic?
I think it's realistic. I think we need to raise the bar. We need to raise the standards. We've got our standards so low, and we say, teenagers, young adults, they can't control themselves. They got raging hormones, and so we've lowered the bar. And instead of saying, I know you've got self-control, you've got what it takes, you've got character. Let's raise the bar. Okay, this is the ideal, and it's not unattainable.
But the culture overall here is that 3 dates and something happens.
Right.
And that's sort of the reality of things.
Well,
What about
and
those guys?
that's the culture that we're at. That's part of the culture that we're trying to change, because that culture has got us here. That idea, when contraception fails, as it will, even if it's 3% of the time or 5% of the time or less if you don't use it, whatever your form of contraception is, when it fails, the alternative is to live with the results of your action, which is to have the child, maybe or maybe not in marriage, maybe or maybe not, with the person that you're with, or to destroy it. I say that those are the common alternatives. The other alternatives include adoption. That's another one that our society is. That's not a first line of defense that people think of. First line of defense is to get rid of it by, first of all, claiming it's not human, and so therefore I can disregard it like it's trash or like it's a disease. So that understanding is part of what's got to change for this culture to